All right, welcome to Frontline. 6 o'clock on the East Coast, but 5 o'clock here where I am in Dallas at CPAC, as you can see behind me, deep in the heart of Texas for one more day. We begin with some big trouble for Democrat Congresswoman Sheila Carruthers McCormick, or whatever her name is. A House Ethics Committee has found her guilty of 25 of 27 counts, funneling millions of dollars of COVID relief funds to her campaign. She now faces expulsion. The House better do this, by the way. They kicked out one of our own. Time for her to go to. Also, Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming the Justice Department is receiving transcripts related to John Brennan. Bondi saying her famous quote, "No one is above the law." Well, Pam, how about you put some people in jail then? Just saying. And President Trump today speaking to American farmers at the White House and rolling out, this is great, onlyfarms.gov, where you can find out about how American farmers are benefiting under Trump's administration and his policies. Look, whoever came up with this title is hilarious. Keep that guy on payroll. But first, okay, TSA looks like it's getting paid, not because of anything the Senate did. They just sent the bill to the House that is pretty much dead on arrival. Then they bounced without passing the Save America Act. Anyway, let's do this. All right, so the ever so disappointing Republican-held Senate has passed some variation of a funding bill at like 2 a.m. this morning. They always pass like really bad bills at 2 a.m. So when you wake up, it's passed, there's nothing you can do about it. But the first red flag to me is that this was unanimously, Republican and Democrat, approved by voice vote. I mean, when did the Republicans and Democrats agree on anything? Probably because everybody just wanted to get the heck out of there at 2 a.m. But Thune pointed out, however, that Democrats, despite their claims, did in fact get zero effort into negotiating anything.
Mr. President, we could be standing here right now passing a funding bill with a list of reforms if Democrats had made the smallest effort to actually reach an agreement.
Look, is this funding bill great? No. But did the Democrats get anything they wanted? Pretty much also no, which is a good thing in my mind. Let's run through what's actually in this bill. First of all, the Senate, what the Senate views as good and what most of the rest of us think are good are pretty different. Kind of my case for term limits. But at least this bill does fund most of DHS through the end of fiscal year 2026, which is this coming October. This includes TSA, FEMA, Coast Guard, and other components. And the bill does not include the Democrat demands for new stupid stuff like ICE agents having to openly display their IDs with their names so they can get doxxed, specifically warrants beyond deportation orders. They don't have to get those. There's going to be no law barring face masks for ICE agents, so they don't get doxxed, like New Jersey just passed, by the way, which is definitely going to get challenged under the Supremacy Clause. So basically, the Democrats held 200,000 people's paychecks. Anyone traveling via airports like myself and everybody here at CPAC risked the safety of the homeland all for pretty much nothing. Democrats got zero of the things they wanted. But this bill does not fully fund ICE, which is kind of okay because, well, ICE is funded through like 2029 anyway through the big, beautiful bill. It doesn't fund enforcement or removal operations and certain Border Patrol activities. Like I said, that's kind of okay, but it's absent the point here. Now, the big question, does it pass the House? Without a massive whip campaign as it stands? No, not at all. There's no chance, actually. As of now, it looks like it's going to fail without total ICE funding in the House. Mike Johnson seemed pretty annoyed about this today.
The Republicans are not going to be any part of any effort to reopen our borders or to stop immigration enforcement. This gambit that was done last night is a joke. I'm quite convinced that it can't be that every Senate Republican read the language of this bill.
Probably. They never read any of this stuff. That's probably why it got passed, because they knew it wouldn't get past the House also, and they would probably get to keep the government shut down. That's probably why Democrats voted with Republicans on this. Now, Johnson's going to have the House vote on a short-term, clean bill to fund all of DHS through May 22nd. But that's going to take time, too, which is why Donald Trump has now declared an emergency to pay the TSA, because I don't think he thinks this is going to pass the Senate once it gets out of the House. And this is an interesting one because he's using a national emergency to do this whole thing. But national emergencies, they've been declared for things like hurricanes and natural disasters to free up like immediate funds for all kinds of things and relief. But it's never been used to pay people's salaries for a government shutdown. So it's going to be challenged by some district judge, which will block it, which will be interesting because I don't know, what are you going to do? You're going to tell all those TSA agents making $58,000 a year that they got to pay it back? Like, good luck with that one, Judge Boasberg. I see Trump's point here, okay, how this is a national emergency, how people are flying around or not flying around, actually, because of security. We don't have enough agents to properly get everybody through security or whatever. But this is always my concern about government injunctions and functions, and anytime they fund anything or do anything outside the means of norms, if certain bodies can just declare an emergency to get around the Constitution and the law, then what's to stop them from declaring an emergency to get around the law for anything else they want to do? Only 4 instances in the Constitution allow for exceptions. Remember, the Constitution is there to restrain government and protect us from them. You have Article 1, Section 9, Clause 2, rebellion or invasion. This is not that. Article 1, Section 8, calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Article 2, Section 3 of the to convene both House and Senate to address a crisis. They're convening and they're just not getting the job done. Article 4, Section 4, to protect the United States against invasion. So let's see how this plays out. Either way, Democrats are the worst, and ICE will march on. And the man who obviously has a special talent for driving the libs absolutely insane, former commander-at-large U.S. CBP, Greg Bovino. All right, look, you and I have run into each other a couple times on your tours here. ICE is fully funded. They can't stand that, but they're still trying to fund it. I don't know, is it like a virtue signaling thing?
You know, Carl, thanks for having me, but definitely it's a virtue signaling. You know, the Democrats love to act like they hate ICE, but what in fact is actually happening is they hate America because ICE, Border Patrol, and all law enforcement is a reflection of America. And as you know, they're here to serve, the government is here to serve the people. They're here to serve the people, and that the exact opposite is happening right now with what they're doing with this funding bill with Border Patrol and ICE.
Yeah. Well, you know, you and I were talking offline. A lot of people go to a job, they do their job, they come home, they take off the uniform, and they be a person. This literally is who you are, protecting the homeland. And you were saying the one thing I regret in my career is not getting more criminal illegals out of this country. And I think that's a notable thing because Democrats would always try to get you and got you. Aren't you sad that this family got ripped apart? You're like, were they here illegally?
Exactly. And we've got immigration laws for a reason. Carl, it's to make our country a stronger place. We're not at the beck and call of the world for folks that shouldn't be here, whether it's, as President Trump said, folks coming from insane asylums from foreign countries. We saw that in Cuba back in the 80s with the Mario boat lift, and exactly what's happening now. It's here to make our country a stronger country. We're an exceptional nation, and I can say that now.
Yes.
We are an exceptional nation. We should remain an exceptional nation. That includes immigration.
And I love how you were public enemy #1, but yet you were at CBP under Joe Biden. So it's not like you haven't been there for, what, 30 years or something like that. It's incredible that you're the bad guy now because you were allowed to do your job. But Democrats, though, look, we know ICE has been deployed to airports and things like that. Democrats have been losing their mind. You've got some, huge purple-haired libs screaming at them while they're helping them get through security. But ICE agents rushed in to save a 1-year-old infant, save this infant's life. And it's like, wow, so they're not out there shooting people. Maybe they should just shut up and get through the security line faster.
Exactly, and more importantly, why isn't that 1-year-old that ICE agent performed the Heimlich maneuver on a 1-year-old? Why isn't that being plastered all across the news media? You know what? You're reporting on it, and a few others are. But if you look on the other side, the CNNs of the world, they don't seem to want to talk about that too much.
Yeah, no, but they never want to talk about that. They only want to talk about Renee Good, but not the fact that she tried to run over an ICE agent with her car, but that this is something that's largely left the news cycle. Like, I'm sure you stay in touch with these guys. How is that officer doing, by the way?
He's doing good. I mean, that's a traumatic incident for anyone, especially when that 3,000-pound missile was headed right at him, and he had to make a split-second decision, and his information was put out there, as you know, after that. You know, he's doing good. Physically, he's doing good, and they're keeping tabs on him. He's got a great team, a great support team. There's fellow ICE agents and officers, fantastic bunch there. So he's going to be doing good back in the fight.
Sweet. Also, this 83-year-old veteran, this stuff pisses me off to no end, all right, died after being shoved onto a New York City subway track by 4-time deported criminal illegal with 15 prior charges. At some point, do you think there's, like, I mean, obviously, you've been thinking Democrats are insane for opposing deporting these people, but at some point, there has to be a breaking point where even people like Ma'am Denny, the craziest ones, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, say, wow, yeah, actually, we do have a problem. Or does it have to happen to them?
You know, it will never happen to them because they never put themselves near illegal aliens. They don't want to live by them. They don't want to interact with them. But they want you to, Carl. They want me to. They want American citizens to. And I often call their constituents, those crazies out there, those purple hairs, cannon fodder. They'll send them out there to do the dirty work that they're not willing to do. So it would have to happen to them, but that's why we need mass deportations. Let's just take care of the whole problem in one fell swoop.
But this is, you have a significant part of the Republican Party who, you know, were happy to get Trump's endorsement, would ram by Trump's side, got on his coattails, who has been calling for mass deportations, and now they get into the House and they don't vote for it. Why?
You know, political expediency. Our founding fathers said that politicians and politics on their very best day are a barely tolerable evil. Is this their very best day? I don't think it's their best day. They need to get their butts in gear and start standing up for America and not themselves. Stand for America and not yourself.
This is like a 70-30 issue, so I hope that we can figure it out. Commander Greg Bovino, appreciate it, sir.
Good to see you.
All right. Let's bring in my buddy, host of the Joe Pags Show, Joe Pags himself. Sir,
good to see you, Carl.
This DHS funding, or half measure that the Senate did, and then they dipped right before, they didn't pass the SAVE Act, they just dipped after this.
You know, it's amazing to me, because you probably got this as well. A lot of text messages from representatives immediately when this happened. They said, it's not passing. This thing is dead on arrival. So what's going to happen? Thune, protected by bodyguards, he didn't have to worry about TSA, went home. He's going to have to get back on a plane and go back to Washington and do what he should have done the first time. You've got to stick to your guns. You've got to dig your heels in. You can't not fund ICE and CBP. We're in Texas. You're not going to fund ICE?
Yeah.
You're going to tell President Trump that entire agenda that you got done was worth nothing? There's something wrong with the Senate right now. It's got to be fixed. But this is dead in the House. I wonder what's going to happen next.
Yeah, well, they're going to send back a clean bill, and then they're going to dink around. But Trump, thankfully, is going to fund at least TSA for now with an executive order. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. Boasberg's probably going to block it or something.
Boasberg.
Yeah.
You got to bring up Boasberg, really? Paul is
That's
Is she next?
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. New report, though, from Just the News finding that the U.S. intercepted documents, this is insane, from 2022, where Ukrainian officials were discussing diverting hundreds of millions of dollars back, U.S. dollars that went over there back to Biden's 2024 campaign. And make it worse, there was no evidence that there was any investigation. You and I have been screaming about corruption about that money for 4 years now. And now we're vindicated.
I was on your show as you were talking about Volodymyr Zelensky saying, I don't know where $100 billion of that money is. Not 100 million, not 100,000, which is a lot of money. 100 billion, he has no clue where it is. If that money was going to Ukraine, diverted back to try to win midterm elections and then the actual general election, there should be people in federal prison, Carl.
Yes.
And you've been calling for it, and I've been calling for it. This not only vindicates us, this vindicates the American public who knew there was something going on with $300 billion heading to Ukraine. It made no sense.
Yeah, that to me, like I went over to Ukraine. I spent a bunch of time walking around the country, trying to figure out where the money was being spent. The only thing I could find, and this is I would say kind of at the beginning of the war, was a bunch of radiation detectors up at Chernobyl. That was all.
No, and let me say this. Joe Biden literally said into a camera as he was the president, we have to get them some pension money. We have to get them some walking around money. We have to help the small businesses in Ukraine, none of which happened. You know that, and I know that. A lot of that money was funneled back, now we're learning. And again, I want handcuffs, I want shackles, I want you in federal prison.
Yeah, no,
That's the way it should be.
Herb walks some dudes over this one. Investigative journalist Paul Sperry reporting that he's been told that Tulsi Gabbard will soon declassify an explosive top-secret document. Former House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff locked this away in a Capitol SCIF several years ago, wouldn't even let any members of Congress see this. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm hoping that this is some bombshell about the Russian collusion, because after all, Schiff couldn't have lied more about that one.
Right. It appears to be the guy who was the so-called whistleblower made up what he was saying, and then it went to another person who knew that he made it up, but they lied and said that he didn't make it up, according to this report that you're talking about. And if all that's true, the first impeachment was based on nothing.
Right, nothing.
Literally nothing. So again, you've got a situation where the president was not only impeached, he was impeached twice. He was impeached under cover of SCIF. He was impeached by a guy who now has a full pardon from the previous president, Adam Schiff. Carl, what's going to happen? Because Adam Schiff, you and I both believe that he's a dirty guy. So if he's got a full pardon, and if those pardons are undone because of the auto pen, he's going to walk scot-free. We never get to the bottom of this.
Yeah,
I love that we're learning something.
Yeah, well, I think we should still hit him for mortgage fraud, him and Letitia James. Right. What does Trump call him, watermelon head?
Pencil neck, I think he calls him that, something like that.
All right, Joe Pags,
all right, brother, thanks, man. Good to see you
as always. All right, Monday, folks, Monday and Tuesday, actually, I'm going to be hosting, in addition to this show, I would never leave you guys hanging, but Wake Up America. It's going to start at 7 a.m. I'm going to be on the couch with my friend Charla McBride. We're going to be talking about all the same stuff here, but make sure you tune into that as well. Coming up, though, the new free speech warrior wins a major defamation lawsuit against him. Interesting. We got AFROMAN joining us later in the show to tell his side of that story, but first, President Trump still has not made an endorsement in the Texas Senate race. We got one of those Republicans, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, my man, coming up next.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.
The perfect gifts. The Jewelry Exchange has diamond pendants $99, diamond clusters $249 per carat, 5-carat diamond tennis bracelets $8.99, 1-carat studs and solitaires $2.99. Great service, selection, and prices. Factory direct. The Jewelry Exchange.
This smart home is going to the Hoyam family so they can live an independent life with their catastrophic injuries.
The whole house is just set up in a perfect way. All of the normal complications of being in a chair. This place is a huge load off for that. The things that Tunnel to Towers Foundation has done is just a lot more than you would ever expect to get in your entire life.
Join us in supporting our nation's heroes and their families. It only takes $11 a month. Go to T2T.org now.
48% of Americans aren't getting enough magnesium, which is essential for nerve, bone, and muscle health. I recommend Cunol High Absorption Magnesium Glycinate. It's gentle on the stomach and helps you get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, hardwood, tile, and vinyl. 75% off. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire
today.
All right, we're down here in Dallas, Texas for day 3 of CPAC, and everyone down here pretty much agrees that Texas is ground zero for the base of the Republican Party. Now, President Trump still has not made an endorsement in the Texas Senate GOP race between Senator John Cornyn and Attorney General Ken Paxton. It's too late for anyone to drop out, so this runoff is happening. May 26th is the day. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton joins me here. Sir, I'm looking at this. You're actually polling ahead by almost every poll I've seen of your primary opponent, who's a sitting senator right now.
Yeah, I think the people of Texas have had enough. He's been in office since I was in college, and I'm 63. And as I've traveled the state since April the 8th, almost a year now, I've asked this question of every group I've been in front of, 1 person, 1,000, 2,000 people. The question is, can you name one great accomplishment of John Cornyn in the whole 40 years he's been in office? And no one's ever given me an answer. And I think people are ready in Texas. Like, we're not Connecticut. We're not, Rhode Island.
Why is it going to be my state of Connecticut? Come on.
Well, come on. Sorry about that. But, we are Texas, and we deserve better representation than we've gotten. He plays the game in Washington. He's been loyal to Mitch McConnell. He's not been loyal to the people of Texas.
Well, but he also was seemingly very loyal to Donald Trump when he thought it might get an endorsement at the last minute.
Yeah, so if you look at his record, he has not been a fan of Donald Trump. He opposed him in 2016 for president. He opposed him in 2024, saying he was going another direction and that his time had passed, and he was critical of him, suggesting that the Russian hoax and all that stuff was true. And he's also opposed him on the border wall. He's opposed him. He's been for amnesty his entire career, and he's certainly been a fan of Joe Biden. He helped them pass the Second Amendment restrictions, which we all hate here in Texas, and he also helped them bring in Afghan refugees with no vetting. So he has not been a fan of Donald Trump until I got into the primary. That will go away as soon as the primary is over.
Yeah, well, the polls are certainly in your favor. Something you have been doing, and something that pretty much everybody in Texas has thanked you for, that I've met here, especially at CPAC, is these Sharia cities, these Muslim cities that have been popping up left and right. There was Epic City. They just shut down another one the other day. They're popping up and they're saying this is going to be a Muslim way of life. No dogs, no bacon, no alcohol, nothing like that. You've been able to stop these in their tracks. How?
So the key for us is we have a U.S. Constitution. We have state and federal law. And my job is to enforce laws that I'm given the authority to enforce. And so if you are deceiving your consumers about what's really going on, if you're not following state, federal law, and you're not following the U.S. Constitution, then that opens the door for me to go look at you and try to discover what's actually going on. People have the right to worship in this country however they want to, but they do not have the right to follow laws that are not our laws, and they do not have the right to violate our laws, and that's what we look at.
Yeah, and they've openly committed in some of these little communities that they're trying to build that we're going to govern this by Sharia law.
Yeah, and that's unacceptable. Right. If you're going to live in our country, if you want to do Sharia law, go to a country where Sharia law matters, or where that's pushed. But don't come to my state and don't come to our country and try to enforce laws that are not our laws.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. I was saying on stage earlier that Connecticut, we're actually, because we're so bad and we have such bad taxes and policies and Democrat policies, that not even the Sharia people want to come to my state. So
that's pretty funny.
We only have 2 mosques, I think, in the whole state.
That's pretty
You've
funny.
got like, what, 300-400 here?
Oh, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Well, Texas Congressman Keith Self, though, announced yesterday that there's a Sharia-free American caucus, and it's now at 60 members of Congress representing 25, that's half the country, 25 states. Here's the list right here. I mean, 3 years ago, this could be a career ender for somebody even mentioning this. Now, thankfully, it's making mainstream.
No, I agree. And I agree with what he's trying to accomplish here, which is to make people aware that we have a serious problem. And we've also seen, obviously, we've seen this in Western Europe and what's happening in England and in France and Germany. They are losing their countries. And, I've been in those countries, and I've heard these people, and they're like, we've lost our country because they've allowed Sharia law to control. And again, I'm all about freedom of worship. You want to worship, you worship however you want to. That was how we were set up. But you cannot make up your own laws that are unrelated to our laws.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds basic and simple, but
sounds pretty simple.
In fact, someone like you's got to come out here and explain it. Ken Paxton, pleasure, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Speaking of Sharia law, earlier today I moderated a panel, as I just mentioned, at CPAC called "Don't Sharia Ma Texas." Take a listen to this. Bo, you and I were talking about this backstage. Epic City, they wanted to build an entire Islamic city where you couldn't have dogs, you couldn't serve alcohol, there was no bacon. I don't know why. Real problem, though, with an expansion, taking politics into a way of life and religion and masking it as religion.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that's going to make some people uncomfortable. The problem is, we call it Sharia, but the problem is actually Islam. I mean, it's great that politicians are finally waking up to what the grassroots have been noticing for a long time. I travel all around the state. I talk to grassroots organizations all the time. And every time I ask for a show of hands, who is worried about the Islamification of Texas? And without fail, 100% of the hands go up. And so, look, we in Texas know that we are the target. They are moving here. They create enclaves. They put people up for city councils and school boards, and they're having success.
We've seen this in like Mogadishu, Minnesota, and Dearborn, Michigan, a lot of other places. There's really not a benefit for the taxpayer whatsoever, but there has been a mass Islamification. And once they move in, they move from a minority to a majority. They elect people who then push out lifelong residents. And it's almost to a point where they've been hiding behind the protections of a religious freedom. At what point do we remove religious protections from the over-Islamification of American cities and call it a political ideology?
Well, great to be with you guys, and happy early Passover and Easter. Well, you can still say that, I guess, in this state. And you know, I know this is called Don't Sharia My Texas. I'm from Maryland. I don't have the fortune of being from a state with that many Republicans. But I think that we should make sure we're not Shariaing America. Right. And that includes even places like Maryland, because what you see, I mean, you know, at this point, Carl, you were talking about Mogadishu. I mean, they call Mogadishu, Somalia, mini Mogadishu because of what's happened in Minnesota, right, is my understanding of what's going on there. And this is a problem across the world, right? My brother lives in England, home of Londonistan, Manchganistan, all of these places. And, you know, these quickly become third world countries. Right. So I think what's important with not Shariaing Texas, and Bo, you're right. If you lose Texas, in a lot of ways, you lose it to the left. If you lose it to the jihadists, you know, if you New York City, Texas, then America is going to be in short order in a lot of trouble here. And that's why it's important to stop it before it happens.
Coming up, weeks, not months. That's when the situation in Iran will be wrapped up. Don't take my word for it. That's from this administration. More next.
The scientists who know better will not speak up.
What's the truth behind climate change? Find out the dangers and why money and power may be driving this story. Award-winning scientists tell the real facts. Watch Unsettled, Climate Change's real story.
One tiny candle illuminates 1,000.
Awaken! A Great Awakening. Rated PG-13.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Total Beets, America's best-selling Beets brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews today.
This little light of mine has been dark for quite some time. Then I let in the light to help see more of the light inside of me.
I needed more from my antidepressant, so my doctor added Caplyta, proven to provide greater relief from depression symptoms than an antidepressant alone, building on my progress without starting over. Weight gain and reported sexual side effects were not common.
Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Caplyta is not approved for dementia-related psychosis. Call your doctor about new or sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks. Report fever, confusion, stiff muscles, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Common side effects are sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, feeling tired, and diarrhea. These aren't all the side effects.
Ask your doctor about Caplyta.
Help see more of the light inside of me.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
When a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name, it's a race against time to stop the theft of your hard-earned equity.
Many people don't know this has happened until long after it's done.
You as the homeowner think you still own a house. 3 months later, you start getting foreclosure notices and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
So when's the last time you checked on the title to your home? Find out if you're already a victim at HomeTitleLock.com.
That regime has been trying to kill and has been killing Americans all over the world for 47 years. We have a president that was not going to allow that to continue unfettered. So when we are done, Iran was already weak. When we are done with them here in the next couple of weeks, they will be weaker than they've been in recent history, and they will not be able to hide behind those weapons.
Yep, Secretary of State Marco Rubio today in France offering up when he thinks the conflict in Iran will wrap up, putting the rest of the concerns of the U.S. as entering a long-term conflict to bed, thankfully. Look, I've said all along, give the president and his very capable administration enough time in his timeline that he told us he was going to do, and we should be good. Fellow team guy Jason Redman. All right, man, so you and I obviously are not for forever wars. This is an issue that, we've raised concern about, but I've always said, until the president exceeds his timeline, give him the latitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing. There's so much opinions that are out there, and I've often said, hey man, listen, the president and the Secretary of Defense are operating off intelligence that made them decide we needed to do this. And now we're on the flip side. The fuse has been lit. We need to execute. And I think that you and I have both seen from operating Iraq and Afghanistan the impacts of not finishing the job. Right. So we need to figure out how to do this, and the American people need to support it, because I don't want to be fighting Iran 20 years from now.
Well, that's the problem, is there's a lot of people that, like you said, internet experts. I mean, before this, they were stock market experts, and then they were everything else experts. And they come on and they say, no, we need to get out right now. But then you're just back to square one. I mean, the nation building doesn't work. The problem is these are people that have lived under dictatorship. And all these internet experts and people, they think they know what to do, but these areas are ruled by a different type of governance than we're ever going to be used to.
Yeah. And I think, how do we support that? How can we, number one, how do you eliminate this current regime? Right. We've eliminated a lot of the leadership, but we obviously know that their belief system and this theocratic rule still exists. So we've got to figure out how to finish the job. Can that totally happen with an air campaign? I don't know. Obviously, some of our best leaders and our best military leaders, we're the most capable military in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So I guarantee
they're
going to...
proven.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And we're continuing to execute on that. But everybody that's like, hey, we need to pull out immediately, we need to finish the job, in my opinion. And we need to give our administration the time to do that. Yeah. We owe it to our people, and we owe it to the future of America.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is we got a bunch of Democrats that, hey, thank you for your service, but served in the military, like former Ranger, and now he's this Congressman Jason Crow. He was part of the Seditious Six. Well, he's saying that now is his duty to speak out against... Roll this real quick.
The job of Congress is to ensure that the laws are being followed, that we're protecting the Constitution, and that we have the military and law enforcement do their job and follow the laws as outlined by the Congress. And that's what the video was about. This was not just our right, but it was actually our duty.
First off, that's about the second to last person I would ever want to serve with, next to Vindeman. I mean, this guy's out there saying, oh, it's my duty to call out the president. How about for a second they tried to work with him on something?
Yeah. I agree. It's I said this in another interview. I don't understand when it became so popular to not support our leadership or patriotism. You and I lost buddies due to Iranian EFPs on the battlefield.
By the way, under Obama, we fought and we were supportive.
And why are we not continuing with that? Hey, we live in a free country. You can have your opinion. If you're an elected official, it should be like, hey, I may not agree with this, but I'm going to support the president because obviously he's making decisions based on intelligence. Whether you believe that or not, that's how it should be. We did it in the military. We didn't always agree with everything that we were tasked to do, but we did it. Guys, Iran's a threat.
Yeah.
And all these people that want to say it doesn't impact me until it does. If they got a nuclear weapon, they deployed it, it would impact you.
Yeah.
And we need to stay the course. We need to support our leadership.
And that's the problem is sometimes people put politics over their patriotism. Jason Redman,
Brother.
pleasure, my man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
good to see you.
All right, folks, remember Monday and Tuesday, I'll also, in addition to this show, be hosting Wake Up America at 7 a.m. Make sure you tune in for that because it's going to give me 2 hours to just run my mouth. It's going to be fantastic. All right, coming up, Dr. Jill Biden's Secret Service agent who was escorting her through the Philly airport opened fire on his own leg. You cannot make this stuff up. We got that in our Culture Clash next.
1 in 4 taxpayers was a victim of identity theft. Like me. That's 1 in 4 hardworking, honest Americans who lost billions in refunds. During tax season, everyone is vulnerable.
We're not just tax-paying Americans.
We're fraud-paying Americans.
And we're not paying anymore.
With up to $3 million in coverage, LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Support your long-term health with Fatty 15, the science-backed, award-winning Pure C15 supplement.
Fatty 15 is reversing aging at the cellular level, and I know it's doing what I want it to do, which is improve longevity and wellness.
Discover more at fatty15.com.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dry premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Another lost summer scrolling and swiping? Another lost spring break? Turns out the fix is right here. Create new lifetime memories from the comfort of your backyard. No passports, no reservations. Latham's premium handcrafted pools are ultra durable for any climate. Can be installed in weeks, not months. And have hundreds of designs, sizes, and colors to choose from. For 70 years, Latham Pool has remained the gold standard in bringing backyard dreams to life. Our pools are easy to care for, won't stain or crack, and never require costly resurfacing. And with flexible financing options, your dream is within reach. Inquire now to receive a free crystal finish upgrade valued at up to $3,000 and bring your favorite exotic watercolor and shimmer right to your own backyard. Don't let another year slip away. It's never too early to start planning for a lifetime of memories. Visit lathampool.com now.
Well, this is actually a headline I wasn't expecting to see today. Agent on Jill Biden's Secret Service detail accidentally shoots their own leg. I don't mean to laugh, but this morning at 8:30 a.m. at the Philadelphia International Airport, the agent thankfully suffered non-life-threatening injuries following a negligent discharge. Yeah, negligent, you think? I'm just asking the question, might this have something to do with the rumors that Trump reassigned all the DEI and subpar people over at the Secret Service that he didn't really want, that they wouldn't let him fire? He pushed them all over to Biden and Obama. Whatever. RNC surrogate and national security expert Mehek Cooke and editor-in-chief at the Washington Reporter, Matthew Foldi. Matt, I saw this and I was like, in 25 years of handling guns, I've never shot myself in the own leg.
Right. Well, John Kerry did when he was in Vietnam, right? And I was thinking about...
You got a Purple Heart for it.
This job...
3.
versus being the Obama's cook. Both of these are very risky professions.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one I would rather do less, be a Dr. Jill Secret Service agent or cook for the Obamas in Martha's Vineyard. But, I hope they feel better. And this is what if you're getting DEI Secret Service, of all the, you don't want them being your pilots. You don't want them protecting you. But by the way, the Secret Service was so bad in protecting Trump, as we saw at Butler. Well, there you go.
Now, and this is kind of interesting because she took his detail that day at Butler.
Unbelievable.
All right, so speaking of guns, the Mame Danny of France, this guy, Mayor I don't really care what his name is. He's some Paris suburb, calling for his town's police to be disarmed despite a history of violence and unrest in the area, not to mention, Mehek, the mass migration that they've been having over there.
Well, it's one of the most violent zip codes. And then you have somebody like him who was actually elected by being pushed by the Communist Party. We're going to continue to see the systematic effect of what happens when you defund the police. You're trying to take their weapons away. More residents are going to get hurt. And at the end of the day, the best part about this is that we're going to see this mass migration of individuals leave and police officers. I think they're going to be either quitting and going to new jobs or just leaving the country. I would.
Just send social workers, it'll be fine. Speaking of Europe, which a place that I don't even really care about, but this is what they've allowed their communities over there. When I say Islam is like incompatible with American values, this is what I'm talking about.
If a father is loving and wanting to marry and give his daughter in marriage to someone who is righteous, well, if the prophet is here, everyone would love to do that. It can be 9 years old, 8 years old. It doesn't matter if in that community it's okay.
It actually does matter. You cannot marry off your 9-year-old daughter, Matt.
Well, this is why, we're here at CPAC in Texas right now, and we did a panel about this exact sort of topic earlier today, and it's why I was talking about the need to build a Trump Tower in Tehran, because this is a civilizational battle here. You can't be marrying off kids. We have like a little girl watching us tape right now. No, this is wrong. I don't know if this is in Europe. We got to keep this out of America for sure. But remember, when we were just talking about mass migration, all of this by the West has been a choice. You cannot be allowing 8-year-olds to get married off. We are not Afghanistan.
Well, but the bigger problem is 8-year-olds can't drive a car, lease a car. They have no rights. They are children.
Make their own lunch.
This is pedophilia at the end of the day. We have to say what it is. And it's not just in their country. It's in America. It's happening here. And we have to protect them. This is radical Islamism and extremism. And it's happening right here. So we have to say, I don't care about your culture. I don't care about your religion. If you are raping a child, you don't belong in America, and we need to take these children away to child protection services. And Democrats should be for this, Carl.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The culture is incompatible with how we do business here. All right, speaking of incompatible and not doing any business, the UN, absolutely dumber by the day. They've adopted this new resolution that's calling on, with no authority whatsoever, Britain and other countries involved in the transatlantic slave trade to enter talks on reparations. Matt, I will get right on that.
Yeah. So this is the most UN thing ever.
Yeah.
It's a meaningless resolution about, Carl, as you noted, something they have no authority to do. But it is interesting that they're going after Islamic countries like the United Kingdom. I don't know if that will be something that will go through with the UN. Obviously, you have a lot of those countries as big voting blocks right now. But if they want to open Pandora's box of meaningless resolutions about transatlantic slave trade, again, the OG Islamic world was responsible for a lot of that transatlantic slave trade. I don't think that they're going to be wanting those guys in Saudi Arabia to be paying reparations. But call me crazy.
I couldn't help but notice, Mehek, that nobody ever talks about the black tribal leaders that sold all those other black people into slavery to the transatlantic slave trade.
Well, they can't, because then they lose their funding. They lose all the money.
Yes.
So remember, the hypocrisy only goes one way. And again, resolutions don't mean anything. It's trading paper back and forth. This is laughable and a waste of taxpayer dollars.
But in the UK, though, you are seeing this, in things that actually matter, like siding with the U.S. against Islamic terrorists in Iran right now. They are completely surrendering. This would be a great opportunity for the UN to do what the UN is for, which is to grandstand, things like that, and say, actually, no, we're not going to do this. We're not even going to support this meaningless thing. But under Keir Starmer, this country has regressed like 500 years in a matter of years.
It's because Islam controls. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, London, Stan, it'll do that. Mehek Cooke, Matthew Foldi, we appreciate it very much.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, the free speech warrior we didn't know we needed. Rapper AFROMAN wins cops' viral defamation lawsuit against him. We got him live next.
For the last 8 years, I've been in bed, basically. After taking Relief Factor, after 2 weeks, when I woke up in the morning, I could open and close my hands, stand on my feet without them killing me. The pain just subsided.
If pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help you fight back. 100% drug-free, Relief Factor doesn't mask pain, it helps eliminate it. Call or go online. Get your 3-week quick start today, only $19.95.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. So Nobella changed that.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just one visit total body transformation.
I decided to give Sonobello a try. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is our breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative that sculpts, tightens, and lifts your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside. And Lift EX is exclusively available at Sonobello. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever. Call to book your free consultation today.
This is a story about the one. The one who looks to Grainger to make sparks fly. Getting it done right is a craft. It takes experience, the right material, and the right partner like Grainger with a wide range of professional-grade products. For the one, working hard means others can play even harder. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The name's Hampton. I've come a long way from my Humpty days and have learned a thing or two about crashes and falls. That's why I invest with Willow Wealth. They make it easy to diversify my portfolio with private markets. Plus, portfolios including private markets have outperformed traditional ones for the past 20 years. Not that it's a competition. Diversify your portfolio to help rise above public market volatility and level up your game. Those who know, know. Willow Wealth.
Allergy congestion hits me hard.
That's why I Navage.
Navage flushes out allergens, mucus, and germs, even 99% of viruses, in just 30 seconds. Preferred by millions, trusted by doctors. There's only one Navage.
Pop up the volume. Go ahead. Crank the volume. We got you. USPS has increased daily package processing capacity by 46% in the past 5 years. And with USPS Ground Advantage, your packages stay in our secure network, dock to door, nationwide. For full visibility, near real-time tracking, affordable pricing, for peace of mind. USPS Ground Advantage.
Never thought I'd be covering this. Rapper AFROMAN is celebrating a legal win after turning a wrongful police raid into what I think is probably the most hilarious payback ever. See, back in 2022, deputies kicked in his door at his Ohio home on the suspicion of him holding hostages. Obviously, it was all bogus and no charges were ever filed. So what does he do when he gets back at them? He uses his home security footage from the raid in his music video for one, let's just say, quite rotund sheriff's deputy who was eyeing a fresh loaf of lemon pound cake on the counter during the raid. Roll this.
The Adams County Sheriff kicked down my door. Then I heard the glass break. They found no kidnapping victims, just some lemon pound cake.
This is great. But the deputies weren't laughing, though. They actually slapped him with a defamation lawsuit, claiming that he ruined their reputations, not the fact that their massive caloric intake did, but he did for calling it out. And it did kind of make the sheriff's deputies look a little bit like a clown. But fast forward to March 2026, AFROMAN took the stand, the raid footage was played in court, and the jury delivered the ultimate verdict: not guilty. The man himself, rapper AFROMAN. Sir, I've been listening to you for years. This is one of the most hilarious things, like the ultimate, hey guys, have a little fun, relax in life.
Yeah, yes. When you get to the military, the first thing the drill sergeants start doing is talking crap to you. God bless all police officers who have a sense of humor and they have thick skin. These guys showed some poor sportsmanship. And like I said, they're probably the type of people that don't shake hands after the basketball game.
Yeah, exactly. But the funniest thing was, so this guy kicks in your door. You've got here's on video. He walks over, and instead of making sure that, there's no threats, because it was a legitimate call that you were keeping hostages. So instead of looking for, like the bad guy or another gunman, this guy, who's clearly not friends with the treadmill, looks down at your lemon pound cake. So you write this song, and what was your reaction when he sued you for it?
I honestly thought cops were tougher than that. I gave him more credit than I guess he was worth. I didn't understand that. I didn't make a song like NWA. I didn't say F the police. You know what I'm saying? I sung about him wanting some of my mom's lemon pound cake. I think that's classy. That's classy. I really don't understand. I mean, under the circumstances that you kick in my door, you're walking around my house with a pistol, and I crack a silly little joke about you possibly wanting some of my mom's lemon pound cake. I don't know how to describe that. That's indescribably hostile. That's totally unsportsmanlike conduct. If this was football, the referee would throw a flag and be like, unsportsmanlike conduct on Officer Pound Cake.
Yeah. Sir, real quick, I got about 30 seconds here. They apparently, it's being reported they stole money from you too?
It's never came back. They admitted live on Fox 19 News. You can go Google it and YouTube it. They admit to my money being $400 short. And even though they proved that it was short, I proved it was short in court, they have made no plans to this day to give me back my $400. And I'm going to keep my campaign on them. I'm going to get my $400 back from the people who enforce the law but don't obey them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's up with that. I will say, I downloaded your whole album to support you because I think it's hilarious. So good on you, sir. Good luck with that. And, I hope these cops relax a little bit, sir. Yeah, they need to be sports. I mean, when you do wrong, you get chewed out a little bit. You got a supervisor,
that's it.
You do wrong, you're going to get chewed out a little bit. They made a mistake. I chewed them out a little bit.
I got to leave it right there. Yeah, no, it's good. I love it, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, before we go, midterms are approaching, and we hit the hallways to get the thoughts of conservatives and the base here at CPAC.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
48% of Americans aren't getting enough magnesium, which is essential for nerve, bone, and muscle health. I recommend Cunol High Absorption Magnesium Glycinate. It's gentle on the stomach and helps you get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Are you sitting at home living in pain? Maybe it's in your hands, maybe your back or your hips. The good news is you don't need to live in pain. Why? Because there is Omega XL, a one-of-a-kind, natural, powerful joint relief supplement created from the green lip mussels of New Zealand. Drug-free, non-habit forming. It's small, easy to swallow, and it's backed by more than 40 years of clinical research. If you're experiencing daily aches and pains due to aging and overuse, try Omega XL. Just ask anybody who uses it. The results are undeniable.
I had a lot of joint pain, and that slowed me down.
I had considerable pain in my back.
Really felt the pain. I mean, in my ankles and in my heels.
I'm telling you about something that's gonna change your life. It has revived me.
This works.
I'm not a prisoner anymore to my pain.
As I was getting older, my joints started to feel that wear and tear. But then I tried Omega XL, and it changed my life. Today I'm here at my ranch exercising some of my polo ponies. So as you get older, it gets tougher. I was starting to suffer some of that business, and then I ran into somebody who said, look, you should try Omega XL. And look what it's done. I feel better than I felt in the last 30 years. And Omega XL gave me the ability to get back in the saddle. It works great. If you're in pain, I want you to know that there is real hope out there. I'm living proof. See the difference it can make in your life, just like it did in mine.
Call now or order online to receive our special TV offer. Buy 1 bottle of Omega XL and get a second free. Plus, we'll also include a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3. 2 free bottles for the price of 1 bottle of Omega XL. A total value of $115. You pay only $49.95 and it ships free. Plus, you get a money-back guarantee. Buy 1, get 2 free. Call or go online right now.
All right, down here in Dallas, our Newsmax Alex Salvi today asked the top priorities for Republicans here at CPAC. Roll it.
Get rid of the bad things that are happening with voting that's been going on for a very long time. And whether you're a Republican, Democrat, MAGA, or whatever, we all feel the same because we talk to a lot of people, and that's very important to people.
Fair and free elections. Elections have to be auditable. If you can't audit the elections, then what's the point?
Just to maintain a majority in the House of Representatives and Congress in general. We need a lot more unity in the Republican Party.
For me, it's affordability. Things are getting more expensive. As a young person, we're getting into the age where we're finding jobs, buying homes.
As a graduate coming up, I think the job market is what's really important to me and the economy in general.
As a devout religious man, a devout Catholic, protecting the right to life is always the most important thing for me in America. So,
I would say getting spending under control. It's $40 trillion in debt. It's not good.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. This is the base down here. It's going to be all from us for CPAC here. We got a couple more events, but, catch me Monday. I'll be filling in Monday and Tuesday down at Wake Up America at 7 a.m. on Newsmax. I'll also be doing my show, obviously. But, Rob, we'll see you there.
We'll see you there, Carl. Have some fun down there, buddy.